Have a comprehensive roundup of all of the region's results tomorrow night at 6 right here on Anglia Tonight.
Now, Northamptonshire pushchair maker Maclaren said today it's negotiating with British parents to settle their claims after reports of children's fingers being injured in the mechanism of the company's buggies. Maclaren, who are based at Longbuckby, said it was in talks with lawyers representing the families and it hoped a deal would soon be reached. 1 million pushchairs made by Maclaren have been recalled in the United States, where 12 children lost fingertips after trapping them in the hinges. The company insists their buggies meet all safety requirements.
An inquest has heard today how a teenager died after her car skidded into an icy river and filled with water. Jordan Wickersham, who was 17, was travelling in her friend's car last December when it came off the road at Spelbrook in Bishop Stortford and plunged into the River Stort. The inquest heard how she was trapped under the water for 20 minutes as a group of workmen battled to pull the car out with a digger. Despite a cold snap, the road had not been treated with grit. The coroner recorded a verdict of accidental death.
Now there's more news from your part of the region on the way.
We look ahead to a big Wembley date for some of our non-league footballers.
And we get in tune with some more ITV fixes. Suffolk Police have released CCTV images of a masked gunman they believe has held up a village post office twice in 5 days.
The store in Capel St Mary was targeted by armed robbers several times in December of 2008, so the latest two incidents are a bitter blow for the postmaster and villagers there. Laura Burns has more.
The post office in Capel St Mary remains closed today. Postmaster Trevor Gibbons left shocked and unwilling to speak on camera after a masked gunman held the store up twice in less than a week. And this is the man police in Suffolk believe is responsible. Wearing a children's party mask, he threatened staff before escaping with an undisclosed amount of cash. It's the second armed robbery at the post office in the space of just 5 days, and the fourth in just 18 months. Police want to speak to anyone who was in the area around 10:30 yesterday morning, and are hoping that releasing CCTV will trigger someone's memory. They're particularly interested in a blue Ford with 2 different number plates, which was seen driving off towards Great Wenham. One local resident, who didn't want to be named, has already phoned police with what she hopes could help inquiries.
There was this blue van which was coming quite fast. He looked a bit in a rush himself. He looked quite in a hurry, as they say, but he didn't want to give way to me at all, and I had to pull right into the bank for him, so that made me a bit concerned.
Officers are continuing to carry out investigations, and the post office is set to reopen tomorrow. But until the offender is caught, it will take a long while for staff and villagers to feel like it's business as normal. Laura Burns, Anglia News, Capel St Mary in Suffolk.
A family of 5 who were found guilty of neglecting more than 100 horses, ponies and donkeys today had their convictions upheld. The animals were left to die of starvation on Spindle Farm at Amersham in Buckinghamshire. Many of them were taken to sanctuaries in Norfolk to be cared for. 45-year-old James Gray, his wife Julie, daughters Jodie and Cordelia and his son James Jr. appealed against their convictions. 17-year-old James was acquitted on 2 charges, but the rest were upheld.
4 more men have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after an attack on a man in a Suffolk park. A 21-year-old man was found with serious injuries at Orwell Park in Nacton on Monday. He's still critically ill at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. A woman who was arrested yesterday remains in custody. It brings the total number of arrests in connection with the incident to 10.
Police in Norfolk are warning people to be on their guard after a spate of fuel thefts across the county. They've stepped up patrols after a big jump in central heating oil tanks being siphoned off, as well as petrol and diesel being stolen from vehicles. The Broadland area has been particularly badly hit, with officers asking people to be more vigilant.
Tributes have been paid to a former coxswain of the Cromer lifeboat in Norfolk.
Richard Davies was 65 and had been battling with a brain tumour for several months. Kate Prout reports on a man greatly missed.
Billy Davis knows all about working with brave and charismatic men. He was second coxswain under Richard Davis for 23 years.
He was all right, straightforward man, straight talking, No angel by any means, but a good man.
What are your fondest memories, would you say, of you and Richard?
Oh, I don't know, there was a few sort of hair-raising times on the lifeboat, a few good times in the pub.
Like so many lifeboat men, Richard joined up as a 16-year-old and became a courageous and modest member of the crew. A larger-than-life man, later known as much for his work with the RNLI as in the community.
Richard Davis came from an extraordinary lineage of fishermen and lifeboat men. His great-uncle was the legendary Henry Blogg, coxswain of the Cromer lifeboat, who in his 53-year career saved 873 lives.
Back in 1999, Richard Davis made the news himself when he dashed into the sea to rescue a swimmer while watching his hero Ken Dodd on the TV. The funny man heard about his heroic efforts and asked to meet him.
That was typical of the man, you know, aged 55, quite fearless, no thought for his own safety, straight into the sea. Marvellous, just what one would have expected of him.
Having won a bronze medal and 3 vellum certificates of thanks for his rescues, Richard Davis' death at the age of just 65 has left a very large hole in the community he devoted his life to. Kate Prout, Anglia News, Cromer.
Real character there. Now, some of the residents of England's smallest town are taking on the UK